I don't want to be a pimp. No, I don't want to wear a blue hat. It was all my wife's idea. You don't do this, and if you don't do your chores, Papa Shango's going to come get you. Does Vince know about this?
This was in the last week.
This Hunter know about this.
Thank you.
I put her through the table harder probably than anybody's ever been put through a table. Triple H looks at me and goes, I know you can kick my ass. He says, but if you ever put me through a table like that, we're going to fight.
Well, look who it is. We are on location, a very special episode of Behind the Turnbuckle. And sometimes you got to track down the stars of the show. Haven't seen this man in a minute. Charles Wright, but you guys know him as the Godfather. It is great to see you, sir.
How are you, my brother?
I'm doing great.
Always good to see you.
It's great.
Man, you're looking younger and younger every time I see you.
How do we do it?
They say something about something don't crack, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Now, the first question I always ask them behind the turnbuckle is, what have you been up to lately?
I'm basically retired. I have some businesses I do with. I do my signings on the weekend. But I'm basically retired, spending time with my wife and our dogs and enjoying life, man. And just enjoying life.
I tell you what.
We worked hard for it, right?
We damn right we have. I mean, we were on the road, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm looking at you. You've lost a lot of weight. You look healthy.
Well, thank you. I had knee and hip replacement in the last year.
Wow.
And I've lost around 55 pounds.
Wow. So let's get right into it, because it's 2024. Wrestling's kind of made a comeback. But part of the reason we started the show is because of the stories from our era, the Attitude Era. And what's great about having you on this week is that you worked with everybody, but you had one of the most unique characters of all time. Let's start with The Godfather, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. How did that ever come to pass?
You're not going to believe this.
Tell me.
My wife. I was in the Nation of Domination, and now The Rock has kind of gone off and done his thing. D'Lo and Mark Henry, they were wrestling together. It kind of left me odd man out.
Yeah.
And so in wrestling, I've always been, if you see me come and go, it's because I was either having fun or I wasn't having fun. Well, I was really having fun with the Nation and enjoying myself, so I wanted to stick around. So me and my wife were like, we got to come up with something because they're not doing nothing with me. And it was all my wife's idea. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a pimp. No, I don't want to wear green pants. No, I don't want to wear a blue hat. And everything that I fought her on, it all worked out.
She was right.
Yeah, she did. We had a seamstress making us vests. We had an airbrusher. We had a gold person making us gold. She took care of everything. I just did the silliness and the entertaining.
When you became the Godfather, it was such a hot time. The company kind of went from being worth like $100 million to $1 billion. What do you think your character did with all those main event stars around you? How did that contribute to that success at that time?
You know, when I went to Vince with this idea, I'm like, Vince, just let me entertain them. I'm like, they see enough wrestling, they see all this stuff. Like, just let me go out there and entertain the people. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the perfect time during the Attitude Era for that, because I was allowed to just be myself. I don't know if you know this, but I was never scripted.
I didn't know that.
They would give me a time and this and that in the finish of the match, but I was never scripted. I was really allowed to say anything I wanted to say. And believe me, if you go back, I said some pretty wild. But so did everybody else.
So did everybody else.
You know, I tell people, Val Venus was worse than me.
Oh my gosh.
Val was out there.
Hello, ladies.
DX, everything, man. It was just a wild time, but it was a great time.
I think it makes for some unbelievable stories that all of us had who were there, and we were together for almost 10 years. And Triple H recently said that when they go to Netflix next January, they're going to kind of go back the way it was with the, the edginess and the. Do you think the Godfather character could have existed in the last 10 years?
No possible way. I would be taken off of air in the first, before I got through my intro, I'd be taken off the air, because everything, come on. It would be everything from, oh my God, no. Pimpin' hoes.
Oh my God.
Rolling fatties. Selling girls? No, I don't think I'd have a chance.
All right, so obviously it wouldn't, and I knew the answer to that. I just wanted to have us laugh just a little bit. But you were not just the Godfather. You were so many different things throughout your career. What was the most impactful character that you've ever played?
I would say Papa Shango. Because to this day, I mean, now people between the age of 35 and 43, when you meet them at these signings, they're like, you go to shake their hand, and they're shaking. They're like, dude, you have no idea how much you affected me when I was a child, to where my parents would say, if you don't do this and if you don't do your chores, Papa Shango's going to come get you. And now I'll paint up and people will meet me and I'll shake their hand. They'll be shaking. They'll be like, dude, I'm a grown man now, but you have no idea how much you affected me as a child. So I would say Papa Shango, because to this day they talk about the Warrior and everything, same always. You scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
When I think about our time there, and you're one of the first guys that I ever got to meet. Kansas City was one of my first cities that I ever worked in, and I remember watching and I said, how do they go about that process of getting the girls and all that? How did they go
well,
about that process?
Well, I think at one time, I think they got you to
yeah,
do
they
it.
Did. They would send us out.
The very first time, because Vince really, he got behind the gimmick, but he really had nothing to do with it creativity-wise, because we came to him with it. Mm-hmm. And he says, Charles, I think it might have some legs. And because we were doing it in the house show, me and Bradshaw were doing this without any girls, just kind of, and it was getting over. By the time we got to TV, Vince says, Charles, can you get me some girls? Me, Taker, and the Harris boys. Remember Ron and Don Harris?
Of course, of course.
We went to a strip club, got some girls, put them on TV. It got over. And then I think at first Bruce Pritchard started doing it. I know at a point you were doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they start getting me girls left and right. How'd you do that?
Well, I remember that I used to get yelled at, and whenever somebody asked me a question in an interview, they say, what's the craziest thing that you've ever been yelled at for? I go, you wouldn't believe it if I told you. If I came back with the wrong talent, so to speak.
You can't say that word.
You're right.
Young ladies.
There you go. You mentioned The Undertaker, and I tell people all the time that even though it's choreographed, that there was so much competition to be a main event star. We had 15 or 20 guys that could have main evented WrestleMania from 2000 to 2008. In your opinion, who was the best at figuring out what they should be and how big of a star they could be?
Taker being one. All the top guys, Stone Cold, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, all the top guys, from Shawn Michaels to Stone to even Mankind. You know, they had their stuff together, but they knew the direction that they wanted to go, and they went that way. I mean, and it worked out very well for them. But I'd say Taker, one of the biggest, to keep that dark secret all them years, you know.
And that's something I was actually talking about on social media the last couple of days, because I was kind of, I don't want to use the word offended, but the Wyatt Six, which I'm really excited about, all 6 of them went to Whataburger after the big reveal and took a picture with a fan out of character. And I said, what are we doing? And
they said, joking me?
Not joking you at all. And
so who's the marks?
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Did
Vince know about this?
This was in the last week.
Oh, did Hunter know about this?
Thank you. But people on social media are like, Coach, we all know K. I said, don't talk to me. I said, you talk to any old school. Thank you. Why is that so important to protect those characters, especially when they're money?
Because not only is it money for them, it's money for us. Because the houses are drawing better, you're getting better payouts. So if I'd have been mad if I'd have been, oh my God, they're lucky Taker wasn't there. Because he would have straightened that out.
I said, did you ever see Taker taking a picture in a hotel or at a bar?
No.
Never.
Man, you got to protect it. That's just kind of, maybe the young guys that they think that's just like a mark to me. Jesus Christ.
It is. I don't think they realize that you want to have that gimmick last as long as possible. And if you give it away the night that you reveal it, eventually the legs go like this.
Quickly.
Right?
It costs everybody money.
Yeah.
But hey, wow, that's hard to believe.
It's true.
Wow.
One of the things that Undertaker said in his podcast, which I know that you recently recorded, is that he went backstage and it was really hard for him to be there because he's not competing anymore. Did you ever get to a point where it was really hard because you're like, I just either A, I don't want to be here anymore, or B, I'm just not needed? Was that a hard thing?
I didn't get that feeling too afterwards. And then they would, I don't know if you know, I've been on a Legends contract since 2003. That's over 20 years I've been on a Legends
Explain what that
contract.
is to the people.
It's a merchandise contract. They do merchandise for you. You make money off of action figures. They're still making money off of you, and they put you in their video games, action figures. They call you every now and then, but you get a quarterly check. And I've been getting them for over 20 years.
That's one of the positives that I don't think people realize. You know, for all the negative storylines, sometimes there's a lot of positives to the being part of the WWE.
Yes, not for me. They've been so fair with me that it's crazy. They should have fired me 100 times.
You know, we had Lisa Marie, or formerly Victoria, on the show last week.
Oh my God!
And
I already feel bad.
she said, she goes, "You gotta ask the Godfather Charles about putting me through a table." What do you remember about that?
I will tell you this. I'm gonna shoot with you.
Okay.
I was going through a real bad divorce.
Okay.
And they told me what I was doing, and Ron Simmons heard about it. And Ron stood up and said, "Hey, I'm telling you, you don't want this man right now putting no woman through a table because he messed up in the head." And he's like, "You sure you won't do this?" And so I did it. I put her through the table harder probably than anybody's ever been put through a table. Wow. True story. I come back through the curtain. Triple H is that gorilla. Triple H looks at me and goes, "I know you can kick my ass." He says, "But if you ever put me through a table like that, we're going to fight." I swear he said that.
Did he really?
Victoria, she was a champ. She wanted it that way. One of the toughest girls out there. God bless her. To this day, I feel bad about putting her through it. She knows that.
Yeah.
That's why she's like, ask him, because, man, I was in a bad spot. But I planted her.
When you bring up the divas, you were one of the guys, because you talked to any of them, and a lot of them came to you because you were so welcoming. How did you come up with the attitude to make yourself somebody that people could come and get advice from you? Because the business is very, very hard to learn.
Time. You know, I wasn't like Taker or these guys. But if people came to me, just experience the time that you've been in the business, you have a lot of knowledge. Yeah. You know, and just over time you get that knowledge, and just situations and matches and watching and learning and listening and all that stuff. Listening. Listen to everybody. You don't have to believe what they say. Just listen to everybody and learn everything.
There are a lot of fans out there that, and I think part of what I've enjoyed about this show is having the credibility, because I think I've forgotten in the last several years since I went to ESPN that once you're in the business, like we have been for a long period of time, not many people get in the business. They don't get to sit in that room. They don't get to see the creative and all that. And when I look at everything that we did and all the characters and all the things, what do you think is the most difficult part of the business for a new fan today to understand, for a new talent coming in today?
It's hard for me to say because the business has changed so much since I came in. I mean, it's so many years, so I don't really know how things work. But I'll go back to my basic things. Listen, learn as much as you can, and that can't change no matter what era it is. Learn, watch TNA, WWF, watch all of them.
All right, let's do a little rapid fire.
Okay.
You know, because so many people you mentioned the legends, and I've got an autograph show coming up, and I know you do a lot of those, and everybody loves you. I get a little scared because I think people are going to forget who I am.
No.
You know, but they love the guys, and The Rock just made an unbelievable comeback. So I'm going to give you names, and I want you to give me one sentence on what you think about them.
You're going to get me in trouble.
Not at all. It's all positive. All positive.
Okay,
Let's start right there.
Okay, I'm going to keep it positive.
Okay, The Rock.
Good guy. Really good guy. Glad that he's got all the success that he has because he's a good dude.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Real. As real as Godfather. Real dude. Love him to death. I met him back in '88. Good dude. If I say good dude, that means a lot.
He really is. I never thought that Stone Cold, by the way, would be a cat person. And now all of a sudden,
I know.
Right?
All these cat videos.
And you know him. He's making money on them too.
Yeah.
And he's never done something that hasn't made money.
When you're Stone Cold, you can do that.
You're damn right. The Undertaker.
Phenom. Serious. One of the best.
Mick Foley.
Say, tough, hardcore. I've seen that man from Dallas days back in the late 80s, just do things that, I tell you what, I don't know how good of a fighter he is for real, but I would never do half the stuff that man's done. In that aspect, he's tough, just tough. Tough as nails.
He understood what it took for him to get over because
Yeah.
he wasn't the greatest athlete like some others, right? Two divas together that headlined WrestleMania. I was there for SportsCenter. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. What do you think when you think of those two together?
Don't know them that well. Sorry.
That's all right. They're big stars, though.
They're big stars, but it's way after my era, and I don't watch much wrestling anymore. Nothing against wrestling. Respect the business. Made money with the business. Made a lot of great friends with the business. But I really don't watch much TV.
See, I like that.
So I don't really watch. I'm not up. Even the Charlottes and that. I know who they are, but I've never met her. Never talked to her, so I don't really know because I'm really out of the game.
See, we talk about it on the show all the time. Not everybody knows everybody, but
No.
we're all together like this. Let's bring up a couple of, you mentioned Ron Simmons. What about the APA?
Those are my boys. Ron and John, those are my boys. Tough as nails.
Yep.
Damn. Tough as nails, man. I mean, like Ron alone, if you look up man in the dictionary, there's going to be a picture of him. And what people don't know about Ron is me and Ron are about the same age, but he's like a father figure to me. And when I need advice, I go to Ron. And Ron will help everybody, but he's tried to help all the African American, the black wrestlers. He's tried to help them and teach them, and even me. And I've learned a lot from Ron, and I talk to Ron at least once a week now. And I start smiling because he's the best storyteller in the world.
He is.
And I can't think of Ron without starting to smile and laugh.
I think when you talk about Ron Simmons, is everybody thinks of the character and how nasty he was, but man, is he such a good-hearted person.
Yes.
My goodness. And yeah, helping out the African American, I think they still need to be elevated in 2024, even to this day, even though they've had some really good characters over the years. Shawn Michaels.
One of the best, great worker. One of the best matches, technical matches I ever had. I think it was King of the Ring '96, and we did a Broadway. And for those that don't know what a Broadway, you go the time limit, and there's not you're both disqualified. And I think we went 20-minute Broadway, and probably the best technical match I've ever had in my life. You know why?
Why?
I let him call it.
Call it out there. Just call it out.
He called the whole thing, give him my heat, and it was the best match I ever had. A lot of knowledge there. Great worker. Great work. Can work with anybody.
Couple more questions. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have Vince Russo on, and he was a big part of the Attitude Era starting. Then he went to WCW. You and I were both there during that takeover time. What do you remember about that specific time when Vince bought the WCW and it all kind of went like this?
Like Vince Russo a lot, but never really talked much with him. He didn't write anything for me. So I didn't really have a lot of communication with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was nobody really wrote for me. I was allowed to do what I want. So I really never worked with him in that aspect. Friendly with him,
Mm-hmm.
But I never really worked with or got to know him.
Do you think that the business is better or worse when you have competition like AEW has sprung
Better.
at the last? Yep.
Raise your game, baby.
Yeah.
Makes you raise your game. Everybody, every match. I think competition. That's one thing about your friend Vince. He's always bought up all the competition, but competition's good. This is good, I think.
When you think back, we're going to wrap it up with these last two. When you think back to your career, and I don't know that any of us ever grew up saying, man, I want to be a WWE superstar, but then it just kind of happened. We were so lucky to be there during that time. What is your most favorite memory from your career in the WWE?
Oh, my God. There's so many of them, bro. I'll tell you one that I'll never forget, and this is going to sound simple. But when I got my first action figure, it was a Hasbro Papa Shango. And you people have no idea, if you've never had an action figure made of you, how important that was to have that first action figure. I never got a shirt as Papa Shango, but I got one as Godfather, and that shirt. And I had a shirt that said "Pimpin' Ain't Easy," and then that Hasbro, two of the things I'll remember forever, and I still have those things on my wall, both of them.
I started crying the first time that I got my first action figure.
You're like, wow. Or you see somebody walking through the airport with your shirt on. You're like, he's got my shirt on. He's got my shirt on.
It really is like that.
Yeah,
it really is like that. Last question, and obviously we're going to have you on the show again. We're just getting started. This was kind of a little tease to the full conversation.
Little tease.
But
you didn't tell them we're doing a movie right now. We're shooting a movie.
That was going to be my last.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Smoke a lot.
Share. When you meet people, what do you want them to take away from your character and what you did in pro wrestling?
Well, you know, my character, the Godfather, and me is the same person. You know me, it's the same person. So I just want people to say, you know, good dude, a straightforward dude, no bullshit dude. Tell you what I think, but no bully, nice person, and just, I don't know, man, just me.
And loves
I'm the
having a good
Godfather.
time.
And, oh, bro, I'm 63 going on 21.
Can you believe that? 63 years old. 63 years old. Now, real quick, we're on the set of a movie. First time that we've ever worked together outside of the WWE. It's called The Hands. It's an MMA movie. There's some really big names in it. Have you always wanted to act? Have you always enjoyed this type of thing? Me neither. But
It's not much, besides the waiting.
Yeah.
It's not much different than wrestling. It's time to turn it on, you turn it on. When they put the mic on you, it's like you're back in, you know, the WWE, whatever it was. But it's just, you know, the light comes on, you turn it on.
Yeah.
I think, like most wrestlers, if you're good at what you do in wrestling, you can talk, you could be an actor. Look at The Rock.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. Maybe this is the start. Maybe we'll have our own movie someday, like where we star together.
I like that idea.
People think we look like brothers anyway.
I know. Somebody was telling me yesterday, I met you yesterday with your daughter. And I'm like, no, you didn't. He goes, we got the same name. I'm like, what's your name? He goes, Jonathan. My name ain't Jonathan. I didn't know it was you, though. I just call you Coach. It didn't register.
Right. Nobody's, if they call me Jonathan, they don't really know me. All right, they are busting our chops to go get dressed and hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait is what it is.
Brother, first of all,
thank you, man. We got to do this again.
We will. I mean, this is only 3 months old. So we're gonna bring him on again, but I didn't want to lose this opportunity to kind of ask him a few questions on the set, promote the movie, but we'll have him on again. But you guys know what this is all about. Story time, and there's nobody better than this guy right here, Charles Wright, a.k.a. Papa Shango, a.k.a. the Godfather, the one and only. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Turnbuckle. Following announcement has been paid for by Behind the Turnbuckle Plus, the new pod order. BTT Plus. Yeah, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. BTT Plus. Oh, it's extra content right here, chicos. Think about it. BTT Plus, taking over the pod game. Live Q&As, watch-alongs, new shows. BTT. Is that okay, Big Tommy? Enter the war room, turnbuckle style. Plus. It's the new way. We call it BTT Plus. The genesis has begun. The beginning of the new pod order. BTT. Everybody wants to know what to do next. Well, just scan the code. The pod revolution BTT Plus starts now. The preceding announcement has been paid for by Behind the Turnbuckle Plus. New pod order.